And Coulter's latest screech, Godless, has reached #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for nonfiction. We can debate just how much of it is non and how much of it is fiction. But there's a more pressing issue. How much of it did she write and how much of it did she steal? Our third story in the countdown, an expert on the subject says Coulter is guilty of, quote, textbook plagiarism, and has concluded that she's passing off as her own writing the works of people at the LA Times, the Heritage Foundation, even Planned Parenthood, without giving any of them even a footnote's worth of credit. That expert, John Barry, will join us presently. His company took Coulter's book and ran it through a program called Authenticate. Apparently, Coulter is not godless, but clueless when it comes to ripping off other people's writing. In a chapter entitled The Holiest Sacrament, Abortion, there is a 25-word passage straight out of literature from Planned Parenthood. It had been taken virtually word for word. It is factual. It concerns the president of the Mississippi Baptist Convention, but there is no credit given. In another chapter entitled The Creation Myth, Coulter manages another long passage, this one 24 words, that is neither hers nor attributed. This time in a passage about the galactic ruler Xenu. She steals from the San Francisco Chronicle, though she did change 2 of the words, and we have highlighted them in italics, as you see. But the longest apparently stolen passage on page 5 of Coulter's book, 33 words long, from a 1999 article in the Portland Press. Again, the 4 words that were in fact changed in Coulter's book we have highlighted in italics. And in Coulter's Universal Press columns for the past 12 months, the Authenticate program found her borrowing from an LA Times article, and the Heritage Foundation has promised the CEO and founder of iParadigms, creator of a leading plagiarism recognition system. John Barry joins us now. Thank you for your time, sir.
Hey, Keith. How's it going?
You have called this textbook plagiarism. Is that because the theft that you have located is virtually word for word, or what's the definition of this?
Well, that's right. I mean, we analyze between 50 and 60,000 works every single day from all over the country, from actually all over the world. And, you know, in a situation like this where you have that much text used without citation or reference to anybody and passed off as actually Ann Coulter's own words, that's pretty much textbook plagiarism.
The book is one thing, but you have found a column from August of 2005 that had 6 different passages from an LA Times article, and they were even in the same order in Coulter's book. Is that if the other thing is textbook plagiarism, is this advanced plagiarism? What is this called?
Right. Well, the New York Post came to us and wanted us to analyze Ann Coulter's book, Godless, and the last 12 months of her syndicated column. And we found multiple examples of this sort of thing. It is, I guess I'd agree with you, it is sort of advanced plagiarism. But I got to tell you, after a while, we just gave up. We said, look, there's enough of it. There you go. You know, we're done reading Ann Coulter's work. We're not,
clarifying here, we're not accusing her of recycling material from her own columns in the book. This is the work of other writers?
No, this is not Ann Coulter. This is a work. These are works from third parties that were used without citation. That's right.
The column from June 2005, facts from the National Endowment for the Arts, but they were taken from a Heritage Foundation report, also presented in the same order. Would any question of the authenticity of doing this? I mean, people quote other people's work and use long passages in books and columns all the time, under any circumstances, has nothing to do with a political point of view or the nature of the work. Are we talking about somebody who just would not put a footnote in or a credit? Is that what this boils down to?
Look, I think the examples you've given today are the same sort of things that would flunk an English 1A student, you know, writing some term paper on the same type of subjects.
The sloppiness aside, or the failure aside, you also say that you've discovered that when Ms. Coulter did cite sources in her book, the citations were misleading. Explain what that means.
Well, it's interesting, because as the Post asked us to go through her book and through her articles, it was extremely unclear what the citations were referring to. She had citations maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs later, but the preceding 4 paragraphs were all quoted from the same source. So, you know, it was that sort of free and loose use of citations that made it very, very difficult to try to determine whether Ann Coulter was citing that material or whether she was just trying to pass it off as her own, but again, just plain free and loose with the citations.
In going through the material in the book or in any of the columns, did you see anything in there by her about Jason Blair, by any chance?
You know what? I've read a little bit about what Ann Coulter had to say about Jason Blair, and from my understanding, she pretty much skewered Mr. Blair for what he did. back to the New York Times.
Maybe somebody could get him to write an op-ed and return the favor. Plagiarism expert John Barry, CEO of the iParadigms Company. Great, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Keith.